Welcome back to the Chaos Theory with your host Rahul. Today marks 36th day of our immersive journey through the intricate web of chaos in our world, as part of our special series 50 Days of Chaos. Yesterday, we delved into the realm of philosophy and explored how chaos intertwines with the fundamental questions of existence. But today, we embark on a new adventure, one that takes us to the heart of governance and politics. Chaos in politics isn't just about the heated debates or the unpredictable twists and turns of election season. It's about the underlying complexities, the intricate dance of power and dynamics, and the constant flux that shapes our systems of governance. Join us as we unravel the threads of chaos woven through the fabric of politics. From the dynamic interactions between leaders and citizens to the emergent properties of policy decisions. We'll explore how chaos theory sheds light on unpredictable nature of political landscape. So, grab your favorite beverage, settle in, and let's navigate the turbulent waters of politics together on today's episode of the Chaos Theory. In the intricate tapestry of political systems, dynamic interactions are the threads that bind together a multitude of actors, each with their agendas, beliefs, and interests. Picture a bustling marketplace of ideas, where politicians, interest groups, citizens, and international entities converge, each vying for attention and influence. Consider, for instance, a scenario where a government proposes a controversial policy on climate change. Environmental advocacy groups mobilize their members, staging protests and lobbying lawmakers for change. Meanwhile, industries reliant on fossil fuels push back, fearing economic repercussions. As tension escalates, international organizations weigh in, adding another layer of complexity to the debate. Now let's imagine a different situation, a trade negotiation between two countries. Here, diplomats engage in intricate diplomacy, seeking to balance economic interests with geopolitical concerns. Unexpectedly, a domestic scandal erupts in one of the countries, throwing the negotiations into disarray, as political leaders scramble to maintain control. In both examples, the interactions between actors are anything but linear. Small actions can have cascading effects, leading to outcomes that are often unseen and even chaotic. This dynamic nature of political interaction underscores the complexity of governance and highlights the importance of understanding non-linear dynamics in shaping political outcomes. Imagine standing at the edge of the vast labyrinth, each corridor representing a different foci of political system. As you navigate this maze, two prominent features emerge: complexity and emergent properties. Complexity defines the intricate web of factors that shape political decision making and policy outcomes. Think of a government's decision to implement healthcare reform. It's not simply a matter of passing legislation, rather, it involves a multitude of variables such as economic considerations, public opinion, bureaucratic processes, and the influence of interest groups. Each of these factors interacts in unpredictable ways, creating a tangled landscape where cause and effect are often elusive. Now, consider emergent properties. Those surprising outcomes that arise from the interactions of seemingly unrelated elements. Take, for instance, a grassroots movement advocating for police reform. Initially, the movement may seem small, but as it gains momentum, it sparks a national conversation. Suddenly, politicians are forced to address the issue, leading to legislative changes and shifts in law enforcement practices. What began as a localized movement has now reshaped the political landscape on a broader scale. Imagine you're trying to understand why a government's decision on something as crucial as healthcare reform seems so convoluted. It's not just about the politicians want or what the people demand. It's like trying to solve a puzzle with 1,000 pieces, each representing a different factor: the economy, public opinion, special interest groups, and more. As you can try to piece it all together, the complexity overwhelms you, making it nearly impossible to predict the outcome. Now think about seemingly insignificant event can snowball into something so monumental. Picture a small protest in a quiet town, rallying against police brutality. At first, it seems like a local issue, but as the word spread and momentum builds, it ignites a nationwide momentum, Suddenly, politicians are scrambling to respond, laws are rewritten, and the entire landscape of law enforcement is transformed. That's the power of emergent properties, where small action can ripple outwards, reshaping the political landscape in ways we may never anticipate. Feedback loops in politics are like echoes reverberating through a chamber, where the consequences of decision bounce back to influence future actions, often with significant consequences. Positive feedback loops, in particular, have the power to amplify small changes, creating a ripple effect that can lead to rapid and sometimes chaotic shifts in governance. Consider the example of media coverage influencing political campaigns. A candidate makes controversial statement which garners attention from the press. As media outlets dissect and analyze the statement, it gains even more traction, dominating headlines and shaping public perception. This increased attention boosts the candidate's visibility, prompting further coverage and reinforcing their position in the political spotlight. The more attention they receive, the more their influence grows, creating a positive feedback loop that propels them forward in the campaign. In a similar vein, economic policies can also be subjected to positive feedback loops. Suppose government introduces tax cuts to stimulate consumer spending. As individuals have more disposable income, they increase their purchases, driving up demand for goods and services. This surge in demand encourages businesses to expand the production and hire more workers, further boosting consumer confidence and spending. The cycle continues with each round of spending reinforcing the initial stimulus until the economy reaches a point of saturation or imbalance. Think about how media shapes our political landscape. When a candidate says something controversial, it's like tossing a pebble in a pond. The ripples spread far and wide, gaining momentum with each wave. The more attention they get, the louder their voice becomes, until it seems like they are everywhere you look. And that's the power of positive feedback loops in action, amplifying even the smallest change into significant shifts in governance. And it's not just in politics, the economy is affected too. When governments introduce policies to boost spending, it's like pouring fuel on a fire. People start buying more, businesses start hiring, and before you know, the economy be booming. But like any fire, it can quickly spread out of control if left unchecked, leading to chaotic fluctuations in the market. In politics, it's often assumed that small actions will have equally small consequences, but that's not always the case. Nonlinear dynamics tells us that even the tiniest input can lead to disproportionately large outputs, triggering sudden and unexpected shifts in political power or public opinion. Imagine a small protest. As we mentioned earlier, we know that this small protest is a small, what you may say, action. But a single tweet can reshape the whole course of the election. These are the examples of nonlinear dynamics at play, where the impact of an action isn't linearly proportional to its size. In the turbulent world of politics, it's these nonlinearities that keep us on our toes, reminding us that even the smallest voice has the power to effect change far beyond what we might anticipate. One notable case study that illustrates chaos in politics is the Arab Spring, a series of pro-democracy uprisings that swept across the Middle East and North Africa in the early 2010s. The Arab Spring serves as a compelling example of how seemingly small events can snowball into massive political upheavals with far-reaching and unpredictable consequences. So let us now look at the background of the Arab Spring. The Arab Spring began in December 2010 when Tunisian street vendor Mohamed Bouazizi set himself on fire in protest against government corruption and mistreatment of authorities. His act of self-immolation sparked widespread protests in Tunisia, eventually leading to the ousting of the president Zine El Abidine Ben Ali in January 2011. The spread of the uprising, inspired by the success of Tunisian revolution, protests erupted in several other countries in MENA region, including Egypt, Syria, Libya, Yemen, and Bahrain. These uprisings were driven by a variety of grievances, including political repression, economic inequality, corruption, and the lack of political freedoms. While the initial protests were largely peaceful and focused on demands for democratic reforms, the situation quickly escalated into chaos and violence in many countries. For example, in Egypt, the ousting of President Hosni Mubarak in February 2011 led to a period of political instability and the power struggle between military, secularists, Islamists, and other factions. In Libya, the protests against Gaddafi's regime evolved into a full-scale civil war, with NATO intervention and Gaddafi's eventual capture and killing in October 2011. In Syria, what began as peaceful protests against President Bashar al-Assad's government descended into brutal and protracted civil war, resulting in hundreds of thousands of deaths and massive displacement. The Arab Spring illustrates the complex and non-linear dynamics of political upheaval. Small acts of dissent, such as Bouazizi's self-immolation, triggered cascading effects that spread across the region. The interactions among various actors, protesters, governments, forces, opposition groups, and international powers were highly unpredictable and often lead to unintended consequences, including prolonged conflicts and the rise of extremist movements. The Arab Spring demonstrates the inherent unpredictability of political change and the challenges of transitioning from authoritarian rule to democracy. It underscores the importance of addressing underlying socio-economic grievances and the need for inclusive political processes to avoid descending into chaos. Moreover, it serves as a cautionary tale about the limitations of external intervention and the complexities of state building in fractured societies. Imagine you are a policymaker faced with making critical decisions, and that could shape the course of your country's future. Sounds daunting, right? Well, welcome to the world of political decision making, where uncertainty reigns supreme and information isn't always as clear-cut as we would like. Uncertainty and information asymmetry are like the fog that clouds our vision, making it difficult to see the path ahead. Policymakers often find themselves grappling with incomplete data or conflicting interpretations, leaving them to navigate through the maze of competing interests and uncertainties. For example, when debating economic policies, policymakers may lack precise forecasts or may receive contradictory advice from experts, making it challenging to determine the best course of action. And just when you think you got a handle on things, external shocks come barging in like an uninvited guest at a party. These shocks can take many forms, from economic crisis and natural disasters to sudden shifts in geopolitical dynamics. They disrupt the status quo, sending shock waves through political systems and creating opportunities for chaotic changes in governance. Take, for instance, the global financial crisis of 2008, which exposed weaknesses in financial systems worldwide and triggered a domino effect of economic turmoil and political instability. So next time you hear about major political shakeup or a sudden policy shift, remember the tangled web of uncertainty and external shocks that lurk beneath the surface, shaping the unpredictable nature of politics. In conclusion, chaos is not merely a buzzword in politics. It's a fundamental aspect that shapes the intricate dynamics of governance, from the complexities of decision making to unpredictability of external shocks. Understanding chaos in politics is crucial for navigating through turbulent waters. Join us tomorrow as we dive into the enigmatic realm of chaos in quantum physics, exploring the strange world of subatomic particles. Until then, stay curious and embrace the chaos. This is Rahul from Chaos Theory, signing out.